Hello everyone, today we are installing Joomla through Softaculous. And the very first step you'll want to follow is to log into your cPanel. And once you're logged in, you'll see your cPanel much like this. And sometimes the layouts are a little different depending on the theme your hosting provider is actually using, but you'll want to look for the Softaculous icon. And in most cases, you'll find that in this Software/Services section. So you want to scroll down and find that. And once you've found that icon, you'll go ahead and click on that. And you should see the Softaculous page much like this. So once you're on this page, you should see right there at the top, you'll see Joomla. If you don't happen to see it here in the top scripts, then you can go over here and you'll look under the portal/CMS. And if you click that little arrow, you'll see it will expand and you have Joomla under there. And so you just want to go ahead and click on that, and then you'll see the Joomla page that gives you some information. And as soon as you see that page, you'll see the blue install button here. So you'll go ahead and click on that install button, and you'll have this page here. And this looks like it's got a lot of information and could be difficult, but it's actually pretty simple to go through. So you'll see right here at the top, depending on your cPanel version and Softaculous version, it'll give you an option to select which version of Joomla you want to install. So you'll want to look into that. If they do give you that option, depending on what type of site you're setting up, you may want a specific version there. In our case, we'll leave it as the default for now. The protocol, you can leave that as default. HTTP is fine. And then you'll see choose domain, which should have your domain name. And what that's for is in some cPanel accounts, they'll allow you to add multiple domains. So you can then select between the different domains you have in the account. In our case, we've just got the one domain, so we'll leave that as is. And then the next item you'll see is in directory. And this is the one that confuses people the most. So what this in directory really means is it's going to create a folder. So you'll have, for example, mydomain.com. If that's your domain, you would have mydomain.com/Joomla16 if you left it as the default here. So you could change that. For example, say you want it in a CMS folder. So then it's mydomain.com/CMS. Or if you just want it to be on just your domain, so just mydomain.com, for example, then you want to make sure that box is empty, so nothing in there. Below that, you'll see database name. Now, if you've, again, only got one website, then using the default is fine. If you do have more than one site, then it's often good to go ahead and change that name and just name it something that corresponds to the domain name, so that if you ever have to make changes to the database, you'll know which database goes to which site just based off the domain name itself and the name of that database. So it does simplify things for you. But in our case, we've just got the one site, so we will leave that as default there. And below that, you'll see here site settings. And both of these, the site name and site description, are really just up to you. That's information that's going to display when you actually go to your site once it's installed. So the site name, you could have like your domain name, mydomain.com, as the site name, and then description, my thoughts and ideas, whatever you'd like it to be, for example. And that's all you need for the site settings. And if we go down, you'll see database settings, and it will have a table prefix. Again, you can change this if you if you know about Joomla and you're familiar. You may want to change that. If you're new to Joomla, leaving it as that default is just fine. And then the next one is import sample data, and that one's exactly as it sounds. Basically, if you check that box, it's going to fill your database with basically examples, example pages, example postings to the site, that sort of thing, that it will put in there so that you can see how everything is set up and works. Again, if you are new to Joomla, you may want to check that just to sort of see those examples. see what they look like. But if you're familiar with Joomla, then leaving that unchecked is definitely what I would recommend. And then moving on from there, you'll see admin account. So you've got the admin username, the admin password, and then the real name, which is basically when you make changes. So for example, on your Joomla page, if you put in a posting or that sort of thing, this is the name it's going to show from administrator. So you may want that left as administrator. You may want to change that. That real name is more personal preference. Now the admin username and password, you definitely want to change those. The admin and pass for the password is just too generic, too easy for someone to guess. So you definitely, at the very least, want to set a more secure password here. So in our case, we'll just say test123. And then the admin email, that will just be your email address. Basically, what that's for is if you forget your password or if you have any notifications, someone came along and signed up or they posted comments or that sort of thing, it's going to send those sorts of notifications to the admin email. And then moving on from there, you have choose language. So Joomla is translated into quite a few languages, so you can actually select which language you want to use. In my case, I'm going to obviously stick with English. And then you have some advanced options here. If you click that little plus, it's going to show a disable update notifications. Basically what this is for is cPanel, the Softaculous, as well as Joomla itself will let you know if there's updates available to Joomla, so you can turn that off there. I definitely don't recommend that. It's good to know when there's updates. And then before you click the install button, right below it you'll see email installation details too. And you can put your email address in again, and what it will do then is basically send you the information that's on this page. So it can be handy to have that. You can always go back to that email and look at that in that case. So once you've got all of that filled out, you've set your username and password as you want, and so on, then you go ahead and click the install button. And you'll see it'll go through installation here, 6, 7, 8. It may take it a minute or two to go through that installation. And you just want to give it a moment there. And you'll see it now says congratulations, the software has been installed successfully. And you'll then have links there, which are going to go back to your domain name, so you can click on that link and that will pull up your new Joomla installation. At which point you're all set and ready to go with your Joomla site.